Well, one subject I wouldn't say I've been avoiding, just haven't touched on yet. You're going to find out why in a minute. But it's something that everybody has a different opinion on. And I guess a lot of it depends on how you lived your life, where you've lived, what the situations were. That is, what do you think of law enforcement, police officers, FBI agents? What do you think of them? I know there's a whole lot of different opinions out there, but there's a lot of different things you have to take a look at when it comes to law enforcement officers. Now, I was never a law enforcement officer. I thought about it when I was younger, but I just got in trouble too much. Yep, didn't work. I actually had an interview for a sheriff's deputy, I think when I was 21. And a week before that, well, I got a public intox. And, well, they found out about that, and that went out the window. Most of the time just about every time I got in trouble with the law had to do with alcohol. Every time I was arrested or stopped by the law, I was doing something wrong and deserved it. But there were a few occasions where I was doing nothing wrong at all. Now, there was a situation, I had talked about this before, there was a situation that happened in Fort Smith, Arkansas. The Arkansas Highway Patrol pulled me over. Now, I just got gas in my truck. I was actually going to pick up Libby, a rescue dog I had, and she was getting scheduled to be put down soon. And I said I would adopt her, and I did. So I was filling up with gas. I was on my way to get her. I pull out of the gas station, and the first thing I do every time I drive is put the seatbelt on. I don't want the hassle of getting a ticket for not having my seatbelt on, so it was on. Highway patrol car pulls me over. I pull over. I'm worried because I got a broken mirror on the driver's side. And I figured that's why she pulled me over. Now, it was a female highway patrol officer, or trooper, and she was black. The only reason I'm throwing in black is because, well, I'm just throwing it in. A black female officer. Most people would say DEI hires, whatever. I think any woman, police officer, would be a DEI hire. There are some that are good at it, but it's just one of them careers I don't believe women should be in. So ladies, don't get offended. I have a problem with that. I also had a problem with them in the military, but they're there. Yep. It seems when they're either a police officer or in the military, they have a different attitude than they would in the real world. They have something to prove, and that just, I don't know, something about that. Maybe it's just me. It's probably just me, but I think others might agree. But anyway, she swore up and down, and she said she pulled me over because I didn't have my seatbelt on. Well, I had it on. I had the same color, and actually it was this color. It was a t-shirt, gray, and the seatbelt in that Silverado is also gray. Wasn't going to argue with her, okay, because I had the broken mirror, and, I've not had good experiences getting pulled over, but usually I was doing something wrong. Expired plates, no insurance. I've done all those things in the past, okay? It's been a long time since I've had no insurance, but I've done it. So I take the ticket. It's a $50 ticket, and, I was mad. I was mad the whole way, and then I got lost looking for the place I was have to meet this lady, and, whatever. But when I look back at all the experiences I've had with law enforcement officers, 95% of them were very polite to me. They were very professional. Called me sir, which I hate, but that's how they should treat people they pull over. I really don't have anything bad to say. When I did get pulled over, I deserved to be pulled over. And I gave some of them a hard time. And I remember one time in particular in Ohio, I got pulled over and I gave this guy hell. And he didn't deserve it. He was polite to me through the whole thing. 'Cause, you know, I'm sure a lot of them are used to that. People aren't happy when they get pulled over. People aren't happy when they're getting arrested. And so they take a lot of trouble. I don't know why anybody would want to be a police officer today. Doesn't pay that well. There's certainly other careers you could do that pay better. You're putting your life on the line every time you go out there. It's just, and crime and people are just getting crazier. It's not something I would want to do. But there are places. Now, I can recall growing up, there was a town in Oklahoma. We would go to the lake or the river. We had to drive through this town, and it didn't matter at what time of day, what time of night. There was always one of them sitting there, and you didn't necessarily have to be speeding. But this town was known for issuing tickets. It's how they made their tax base, I guess. They made money that way, and there was no way to avoid it. So you really had to make sure, you know, everything was good. You didn't have alcohol in the vehicle and all this. And kids, you know, back then we did. And most times he would pull us over, you know, because we would probably usually be going through there 2 or 3 in the morning. We would get pulled over every single time, but we knew not to have any alcohol, not to have any open. But there are towns like that. And they're in every state. There are bad cops, there are good cops. It's like any other organization. You know, even in the military, there was bad people in the military. I met quite a few of these bad people. And it's the same way in law enforcement. You're going to have good eggs or bad eggs. They're humans just like everyone else. But what's going on now with this ICE? And I mean, I just, for the life of me, I can't understand why any American that has lived here their entire life would be for having illegal aliens cross our borders. And then on top of that, when we try to get them out, they're going up against ICE, ATF, all these agents they have out there trying to do their job. The fact they even have to wear a mask to protect their identity is crazy. But I'd say there's more good ones than bad ones. You know, you're going to get the bad people. You know, you have to look at it this way. Look what they have to deal with every single day. Pulling people over. Oh, I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing. Everybody says that. Even if they did it, they're going to say that. You catch somebody stealing red-handed, but they ain't did nothing, you know. That's how that goes. And they have to deal with that day in, day out. I imagine it wears on them. So you may get one pulling you over one day, and he might be grumpy because you don't know. His last stop or his last incident might have been dealing with somebody like that. I just tend to do this. I stay out of trouble. I don't break the law. I have been here, other than that one time, which I was innocent, other than that one time in Arkansas, that was the only time I have ever been stopped or had any kind of contact with law enforcement. I haven't called them. They haven't come over to my house. But you'll see places, you know, down this road where you constantly see them. Those are people that are breaking the law, or they wouldn't be there. They don't just randomly pick a house and say, let's start giving these people a visit. You have to have done something wrong in the past, or you're doing something wrong now. And they want you to know we're watching you. I guess that's kind of like why I like living out here, because you call the sheriff's department here, 90% of the time he's going to tell you on that other dispatcher or whatever, whoever you get on the phone, if it ain't nothing serious, they're going to say, handle it yourself. So I kind of like that idea of handling things myself. But if you really truly need them, I guess they would come. But we just, I don't know, we have to understand that some of the things they have to do and the people they have to deal with, it is not an easy job for what they are getting paid. Now, some police officers make some pretty good money, but I don't think there's a whole lot of them out there that's making over 50 or 60,000 a year. They have to be on the force for a very long time. You know, it's a tough job. I actually, when I was a teenager, I was friends with a guy, and he joined the Tulsa Police Department. He became a homicide detective and retired from there. And he was a homicide detective for many years. I could not imagine doing that kind of work and what that does to you. So they're seeing a lot of things that, you know, we're never going to see. Most of us skate through life, never see a dead body. They see them a lot. They deal with auto accidents. They deal with all kinds of emergencies. So I am not making this video to stand up for them, but I am not making this video against them. They have a job to do. I think it's, you know, if somebody is a bad cop, you know, their reign isn't going to last forever. They're going to, you know, people are going to find out about it. They don't last long, but there are places, especially like New York City, where they got like 50,000 cops. Yes, you're going to have some bad ones. But the majority of them are doing it because that's what they wanted to do. And again, I don't know why they'd want to do it. Not today. Maybe 30, 40 years ago. Even then it was bad. They stay busy constantly. There's always something for them to do. I would imagine it'd be exciting. I would imagine there would be times, you know, that your adrenaline would get going. It'd be kind of an exciting job, but to just generally hate them, which a lot of people do, you must have had a bad run-in with them at times. I mean, you got to tell, you know, I think when you get older, you realize the run-ins you had with cops, most of the time it was your fault. You were breaking the law. You were doing something you probably shouldn't have been doing. And there's the cops, you know, and a lot of people blame them because they're cops. Well, you're the one that broke the law. They were called, or they seen you do it, or something happened because of what you did. You might have caused an accident. They're just doing their jobs. They got to follow a set of laws. And if we didn't have these laws, which it almost seems that way now, we don't have laws. There are some states that don't enforce them. But without them, believe me, it's going to be chaos. So I kind of, you know, I'm happy they're there if you need them, but don't break the damn law. We won't need them. But others do break the law, and you never know when you might have to rely on one, and one might save your life one day. That's just my opinion. You guys can comment. Tell me what your opinions of law enforcement is. Unfortunately, we have to have them. You can't just leave law and order to the citizens. It doesn't work that way, especially in a large population. Even with police, and then they're going to defund police. If you're in one of these cities where they have defunded you, do you think they really want to do anything more than they have to? I don't blame them. I would just sit on my butt all day, you know. But that's the world we live in, man. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Happy trails.